welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a comparison between a 3D printed doll that's printed in resin. So there are 3D dolls that are printed in different sorts of plastics. This one's printed in resin, and I'm going to compare it to a resin cast doll. So this is a resin cast body. Now the head that I put on here, if you watch my unboxing of this doll from artist Cindy Cook, she also had been working with a new porcelain resin, which is what this head is made of. And it is a porcelain resin. It is a 50% porcelain mix. And so it's a really cool material. And I decided I really wanted to put it on this doll leaves body, and she kind of serves as the big sister to Babs. So I thought that would be really cute to have them together. Before I get started, I just wanted to clear something up because it came up in a comment in the unboxing of this doll, that when she created this doll, what she did is she bought a file, like a basic file from someone. And what she's done is she's pretty much reworked that entire file. So she had a base file that someone else created that she purchased for her personal use. And she's recreated, you know, a lot of the body proportions, and she's redone the face and things like that. I like to think of it like a Monster High doll. When people get the Monster High dolls and they carve the faces and redo everything, and it really doesn't look like a Monster High doll anymore. That's kind of what she explained to me happened with this doll. So you may see, if you see a similarity in the joints, you know, of this doll with a doll that is available, like a 3D printed doll that's available for purchase, that's probably why you're seeing that similarity. So just wanted to clear that up with everybody because of that. It did come up in the last video. So anyway, that being said, let's go ahead and look at the differences in the bodies of the printed resin versus the cast resin. So the first thing that I noticed with the two is that the printed resin is actually heavier. This is a heavier doll than the cast resin doll, and the reason that that is because, and now this is hollow. So it is a hollow doll. You can see, I'm going to pull her arm out. You can see that it is hollow, so it's not a solid doll. It's a hollow strung BJD. And the reason that it's heavier is just because of the quality of resin that she uses to print. So she uses pretty much the highest quality 3D resin that you can get. So that this doll has a nice heft to her, where the other doll, let me pull her off, and this is a doll leaves body. So a doll leaves body, if you are familiar with them, they're one of the least expensive doll bodies available on the market. So probably the resin here is of a lesser quality than, you know, maybe some other high-end artist BJDs, but definitely this one's a lot lighter, and it feels cheaper than this 3D printed resin, and I think it's just due to the quality of the material that's used here. Now, another thing that I notice about them is it's really cool. I actually really like this. So you can see sometimes on BJDs, you can see seam lines on them. On this doll, you really can't. I actually have more seam lines on my minifee bodies. But once in a while, you'll see when a doll is cast, there'll be a seam line running down the leg or on the back of the arm or whatever, from where the molds, where the cast comes apart. And you see that seam line. And I've got them dressed this way, by the way, for their modesty for YouTube. So anyway, you know what? I just realized this body has no seam lines, which is crazy considering how inexpensive this body is. But a lot of cast bodies do have seam lines in them, and so what they will do is they'll, you know, sand that down. So that must be what happened with this one. So that's one big difference there. What you see with the 3D printed doll, and I think this is so cool, I just want to show it to you guys. There's like this little ripple on her belly. And I'm guessing that's from the way the printer layers the resin in there. I think it looks so cute. And it's, you know, you could probably sand it out if you wanted to, but I wouldn't want to because it's kind of like a little birthmark there on her belly. Just the way that that little rippling effect works is just super cute. And so instead of having a seam line, you've got those little ripples that are formed from the way the printer actually prints the pieces. And she was telling me that it takes, I want to say she said it takes about 3 days to print a complete doll because of the way the printer works. So I think that's really super cool. And you can also see a little bit of that like in her leg. You see some of that rippling effect. I really like that though. I think it's super cool. Like I said, it's like a birthmark, you know, that's how she came out of the printer that way. So it's a different sort of mark that we're having a party up here right now. It's a different sort of mark than you get from a cast doll. I wanted to pause and go grab a doll that actually has seam lines so you can see what I'm talking about with the seam lines. So this is my Minifee Chloe, and you can see she's got a seam line going down her leg. And so that's one of the differences that you'll see with a cast doll versus the printed doll, is the way that the seam lines are there from the actual molds when they're pulling the doll apart. That's kind of left behind from that. And you can sand it down some and get rid of it. But I think Fairyland dolls are pretty well known for coming with seam lines, and they don't really bother me. But that is one big difference that I've noticed between these dolls. Now I want to look and show you kind of the difference here on this doll, because I've put this 3D printed porcelain resin head onto a cast body. And like I said, the color match is not perfect. Because this is like a pure white, almost porcelain color, like a porcelain, you know, white porcelain would be. And this doll leaves body it's very pale. I don't remember what they call this color, but it's a very pale color. But it does work, I feel like. And so one of the differences is this feels more, it feels like porcelain. It feels more like actual porcelain versus where this feels, when you compare the two, this feels more plasticky. And of course resin is a type of plastic, but you know, when you're talking about, you know, the way the material feels, this porcelain resin, it is a porcelain resin mix, feels more, it feels like a more premium product than the actual, you know, this feels more cheap. So I think that's an interesting comparison between the two products. Now again, you know, you can buy different types of printing resin, and she uses a premium type, and then also she's been working with this porcelain type, so that shows a difference too. Now what I want to show you next is the difference in the heads. So I'm going to use the porcelain head to show you guys this versus the Minifee head. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop both their heads off, and we're going to take a look at them. Okay, I'm actually not going to pop her head off because I forgot I had to use some special stringing tools to get the head off. But I'm going to just show you guys kind of how they both work. So the newer Minifees, they have magnets in the heads, and I've got an older Minifee that actually doesn't have the magnets, but they kind of, the head pops together like that, and you can see there's sanding marks on this head from, I guess, where it came out of the mold, and they had to sand that off. And you can see the same thing on the side of the head. There's a seam line going all the way down from where the mold was. Where the resin, excuse me, this is resin, but the printed resin, you don't have that sort of mark. So the only marks, now this one she didn't actually print for me to use as a doll, she just wanted me to see it, but I thought the head was so pretty that I wanted to put it on a body. But you can see you really don't have any of that here. It's pretty smooth. It's not like, it's not got like marks on it or anything like that, but it's really just smooth, and you don't have those sort of lines in it. So on the head cap though, the head cap's interesting because the head cap has some of those little swirlies. So I'm going to show you, if you look at the top of the head cap there, I think the camera's having a hard time picking this up because it's just so pale. but there's some of those little swirlies from the 3D printer there. But the way she's got this one printed, and again, this is going to be a style thing, not necessarily all 3D resin printed dolls are going to have these same sorts of elements, but you can see like on the inside of the head how she's kind of put this, she's got this thing here for the stringing. Now I had to kind of work with this S hook to get it on this body, and again, like I said, she wasn't intending for me to put this on a body, but I couldn't help myself because I really love this face and I thought it was so pretty, and I thought it would look so cute, like as Babs' big sister. So that's one of the other things. It's just the feel of the material and the way that the resins feel different together. And same thing with this. This one, the Minifee the resin feels like a higher quality resin than the Doll Leaves body, but again, nowhere near the level of this resin or this resin. So I think that's pretty cool, that with the 3D printed doll, you can kind of go with whatever quality you want. And so I really like that. I think that's interesting. And then too, the holes, you know, it's printed hollow, so she doesn't have to drill it out or anything like that, so that's cool. So they print out as a hollow piece, and it's ready to be strung. I don't know with the cast dolls if they have to drill the holes out or not. I've heard before that they do, and I've heard that they don't. So actually, that's probably not even a good thing for me to talk about because I honestly don't know. But you know, if you look at the channels that the strings are in, the channel here is really clean. Like it's smooth, it's clean all the way through, and it's printed out that way. So she doesn't have to go through and, from what I understand, do a bunch of drilling and stuff like that. And then this one is pretty much the same, but it does, like if you look in that one, it's a little bit more uneven, and it's more, you can see it's kind of like chipped around the edges and stuff, so I think they probably drilled this out. I could be wrong. I'm not an expert on casting dolls, but just from what I've learned over the last few years, that's my kind of take on that. And I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but it is like a rougher channel in there. So I just thought that would be interesting to discuss kind of the differences that I saw in the two dolls, the printed versus the cast doll. And you know, it's just fun for me to kind of look at them and do that. And I also wanted to show you guys, because when I got these dolls, I got these paper dolls as well, and I wanted to show you guys what I did with those. So I got the Pennywood Girls. I read it. It's a really cute, super cute story, and it had paper dolls in the back, and it came with brads. So what I did is I cut the paper dolls out, or the paper doll, and I put Mod Podge on it to give it a little more tooth. So, or like, you know, to make it a little more thick, I guess. And the little pink brads are so cute. So I put those through, and then she's got her other two dresses as well. And so I'll link to the Etsy shop below if you want to pick up a set of these for yourself. They make a great stocking stuffer for a doll lover in your life, because the story is really cute too, and it's a serial, so there's going to be more editions of this. This is the first one, so I just wanted to mention that while we were talking about these dolls. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.